Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be my spoiler-free review for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I actually already filmed a review for this movie and it was 33 minutes long, and then I went to go edit the footage and my microphone was not working. So this is my second attempt at filming this review and I hope it works out. If you guys are watching this, it clearly did. When talking about this movie, when I filmed my review literally 15 minutes ago, I cried, and I don't think I'm gonna cry again. Or at least I hope not, because it obviously wasn't planned. Like, I'm not trying to cry for views or anything like that. Like, it was just genuine emotion. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and talk about this movie, because it was obviously a very difficult film to make. I'm still amazed that it came out when it did. Like, I thought this thing was going to be pushed back a few years from now. It was dealt such a bad hand. Like, your lead actor has passed away. Like, what do? You already had a script ready. Basically, the director, Ryan Coogler, had to rewrite this entire thing. Like, obviously, some elements still stayed, like Namor and all of that, but he had to change a ton. He had to elevate all of his characters up a tier, because now the main character isn't there, so you've got to bring everyone up a notch and basically make them the new main characters. And I am honestly amazed at how good this movie is, based off of all of the hardships that they had to endure when making it. So props to all of the cast and crew, because they did a great job. Now, what is Black Panther Wakanda Forever about? Well, basically it's about Wakanda coming out to the world and revealing themselves and letting everybody know that they have vibranium, which is this world-changing thing. Now people want this resource and they will kill to get it. It's something that's gonna change the world, so people are out looking for it, and that's how Namor comes into play in this movie. His nation of Talokan has vibranium and he wants to stay hidden. They live in the ocean, nobody knows they exist, and that's how the conflict happens. They have Wakanda basically telling the world about vibranium, and then they have another civilization that really wishes they didn't do that. So that's how the conflict between the two nations happens. Now, before we dive into the actual meat of this movie review, we obviously first got to talk about Chadwick Boseman and the character of T'Challa. Of course, the character of T'Challa is not in the movie. Chadwick Boseman sadly passed away before this movie started filming, and you definitely feel it. Like, you don't have that focal point character at the beginning of the film. You do get a focal point character in the third act of the movie, and probably going forward for the future of the franchise. But if you remember back to the first Black Panther, like, we open up, we're with T'Challa, and that's the character that we're with throughout pretty much the entire movie. This movie doesn't have that. We're basically watching the other characters in Wakanda take that role, and I thought pretty much everyone rised up to the challenge. Now, the last thing I want to say about Chadwick Boseman is I thought he was an amazing person, an amazing actor, an amazing Black Panther. Obviously, I'm very sad that we couldn't see him in the future of the MCU and in other movies, but he has left his stamp on the MCU, and I'm so grateful for an amazing person like that. Like, he did so many things outside of the movie business. Basically, what I'm trying to say is he was a great guy and he will be missed. Now though, let's get into the actual review here. So the way I like to structure my movie reviews is first talking about the positives and then the negatives. So the first positive that I want to talk about is the characters in this film. So we have a few standouts. Obviously, Shuri and Angela Bassett's Queen Ramonda were fantastic. Those were my two favorite characters, besides Namor, which we'll talk about very soon. Letitia Wright as Shuri was amazing. The raw emotion she brings in her performance, it doesn't even feel like you're watching a character in a movie. It looks like you're literally watching Letitia Wright mourn the death of T'Challa, and you feel that sadness. I get goosebumps just thinking about the moments I saw on screen with her, because they were so real. And you get that with all of the characters, like Okoye, M'Baku, Queen Ramonda. They don't feel like characters in a movie, they feel real. And that's what tugs on your heartstrings in this movie, because it just feels so authentic. It's not people pretending to be sad, like, people are genuinely sad. So yeah, this movie was very emotional. I thought the standouts was Shuri and Queen Ramonda, but M'Baku was great too. He was very funny. He did have some really awesome moments though, I will give him that. And another character that had some great moments was Okoye. She has a really interesting character arc in this film. She's not just badass warrior lady, like, she has an actual story here. I really liked it. I can't talk about it because it does involve spoilers, of course, but she was great in this film. Another character we gotta talk about is Riri Williams. I thought she was okay. She didn't necessarily need to be in this movie, but the movie was written in a way that her character did happen to be there and did have an important part, but I think if you erase that, it didn't really matter that much. She was obviously in the film to make more interest for the Ironheart Disney Plus show, which they did succeed on. At first, I was like, you know, like, obviously I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not, like, over the moon excited for it, but Ryan Coogler did a great job directing her, and I think a lot of people are gonna be more excited to see her show now. Overall, though, I thought thought her character was alright. She comes across very arrogant, similar to how we first saw Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie in 2008. Her character is definitely going to have an arc that makes her a more likable character in the future, but I think some people might not like her that much based off of the little bit of time we spent with her in Wakanda Forever. The next character we're going to talk about is Namor. Now, this guy is a badass. Tenoch Huerta did a fantastic job bringing him to the big screen. Namor is epic. Like, his fighting style, his powers, everything about him is just very unique, and I loved his civilization of Talokan, which is different from the Marvel comics. In the comics, he lives in Atlantis, and in the MCU, it's Talokan, which is a Mesoamerican underwater civilization. I really like the change, to be honest. Like, it sets it apart, obviously, from Aquaman in the DC films, because if Marvel did Atlantis, it would be very, very similar to Aquaman, and I like the change that they brought. This felt a little bit more real, and I like that change, but Namor steals every scene he's in. He's very captivating. I loved him. I can't wait to see him in the future of the MCU. I hope he gets his own movie and everything too, because Tenoch Huerta did a fantastic job, and I want to see more of Talokan. Like, it is a very interesting place. It's in the bottom of the ocean, essentially. It's very, very deep. It's very dark and murky, and nobody knows that they exist. And the first time we see the people of Talokan in this movie is done in such a creepy way. It feels almost like a horror film, because every time they're in the water, it is very, very dark, compared to Aquaman, where everything is bright and you can see everything. It makes it a little bit more magical and mystical, like you don't really know where they are, you can't really see them. They're almost like these monsters in the water, and I really like that change. But yeah, Namor is a badass, and you will love him in this film. So we just talked about the characters in the movie. Now let's talk about action, because it is fantastic in this film. I would say there's a pretty significant improvement in the action in this movie compared to the original Black Panther. We have underwater fight scenes, we have fight scenes in the air, on land, on a boat. We're fighting everywhere in this movie, and there's a lot of really cool set pieces and everything, and I just love the action. I saw this movie in IMAX, and I plan to see it again in D-Box with the moving chairs, because there was a lot of action, which means those chairs are going to be moving around a ton, and I can't wait to see it again. I would say there is one standout when it comes to action scenes in this movie, and that is Namor, because we've never really seen his power set before in the MCU, and watching him fly around with his winged ankles and just punching people and swimming underwater really fast, it was really, really cool. But overall, I thought all of the action scenes were done very well. Now let's talk about comedy, because there was a bit of comedy in this movie, which I wasn't really expecting. For the most part, this movie is very sad and very serious, but there is a bit of humor here and there, mostly from characters like M'Baku. There's quite a bit of comedy from Riri Williams too, and a little bit from Shuri, and it was just the right amount. It wasn't over the top like Thor Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever needed that serious tone because of what this movie means, and I'm glad they didn't ruin the tone by just tossing jokes everywhere. The next positive that I have is the story, because it was great. From start to finish, it was very emotional, it was very intense, it was very real. We've got two nations going to war, we've got an introduction to Marvel's first mutant, which is the Submariner Namor. We've got a new Black Panther being introduced, we've got the supporting characters all rising a level above where they were in the last movie, and this movie had my full attention. I was intrigued, I was engaged. I didn't look at my watch once when watching this film, which I think I've said in a few other reviews, that I judge how much I like a film by how often I look at a device like my watch or my phone. If I don't ever look at my watch specifically in a movie theater, because I'm not the type of person to whip out their phone, that means I really like the movie, and I really, really enjoyed Wakanda Forever. There's a lot of things going into the Wakanda Forever story. We've got the death of the king, we've got the new Black Panther, there's a few other things I can't really mention because they're spoilers, but we've got Namor, we've got the introduction of Talokan, we've got the war between Talokan and Wakanda. There's a lot of really cool things happening in this movie, and I think Ryan Coogler did a great job directing it to have a very cohesive and strong story, and that's my last major positive. Now let's move on to the negatives, because this obviously isn't a perfect film. It's very rare that we even get something close to perfect. My first negative, though, is the middle of the movie. It slows down quite a bit. You go and do like some side quest kind of stuff, and I don't really think a lot of storylines in the middle of the movie necessarily needed to be there. A lot of it was written into the script in order to promote future things, which I'm totally fine with, to be honest, because that's how the MCU has been successful. They tease future things in the current project you're watching, so it's fine. It's not something new for Marvel. I just didn't really like it as much as some of the other stuff that they've done before. I think if they really focused on Wakanda and Talokan and didn't introduce any of these other side characters that didn't really need to be there, I think the movie would have been a little bit better and it would have flowed a little little bit nicer too, because in the middle we're doing a lot of like location hopping, going here and there, talking to characters that in my opinion don't really need to be in the film. So I can see why some people might not really like the middle section of the movie, but to be honest, I thought it was okay. Like, this isn't me hating on the middle. I just didn't like it as much as Act 1 and 3. My second negative is that it doesn't really have a focal point character, which I know I mentioned already at the beginning of this review, but what made me and a lot of others really like the original Black Panther movie was that we were with T'Challa right from the get-go, and like I said, in this movie we're forced to basically be with multiple characters not really having a focal point right at the beginning, which really makes you feel the loss of your lead actor because you don't have someone to follow in this new Wakanda Forever story. But by the third act, we do get the future face of the Black Panther franchise, and basically Black Panther 3 is going to be all around this character. So yes, not having a focal point in Act 1 and 2 is kind of a negative, but I don't really think they could have done it another way. Like, if they opened up Wakanda Forever and had the new face of this franchise, I don't think it would really work that well, and I don't think it would have been really earned either. You're basically shifting your main actor to someone completely different, and if you did that right at the beginning of the movie, it would have felt very abrupt. So yeah, not having a focal main character in Act 1 and 2 is a bit of a negative, but like I said, I don't think they really could have done anything else. And once again, that's not to say that Act 1 and 2 was bad, I'm just saying that I would have liked to have a focal character, but I understand that they couldn't. So guys, that's really it for the negatives. It's really just that focal character, and then also the middle section of the movie and the characters that we were following there. Other than that, this movie was amazing. This is one of my favorite MCU movies, hands down. It is very emotional. This is an experience. This is something that you're going to remember. Like, when people say, what do you think of Wakanda Forever? You're going to remember how you felt watching this movie, because it is very, very sad. It's very emotional. It's very raw. And I had an amazing time watching this. It's an experience that I will never forget. I got very emotional in this movie right at the beginning. Then again throughout the movie. Then at the post-credit scene, I was crying at that post-credit scene. It was so emotional. I was holding back tears during the actual movie. It was a little bit tough, not gonna lie, but that post-credit scene broke me. Like, I'm getting emotional again. I know I said I already filmed the review and I cried filming my previous video that didn't work out because of the microphone. Just thinking about that post-credit scene again. Holy moly. That, like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, when I was watching it, goosebumps, tears, like, man, like, this movie's something special. Like, go watch it. I'm literally putting myself right back to where I was last night watching this movie for the first time and seeing that post-credit scene, because what a movie. Like, did I like it more than the original Black Panther? No, I still think that's like a 9.5 out of 10 movie, and my personal rating for Wakanda Forever is an 8.5. So it's still a great movie. I just don't think it's better than the original. But this movie is something like completely different. Like, the first movie was, you know, this really fun adventure story of like coming of age, becoming a king, this and that. This one though, like, completely different. Like, yes, there's callbacks to the previous movies and other you know, Black Panther references and stuff here and there, but this is like its own thing. This is one of the most emotional movies I've probably ever seen because of how real it is. Like I've been saying, like, this is real people that worked with Chadwick Boseman that are on screen showing their grief to you through their performance. Like, this isn't people pretending to be sad. Like, they are actually sad people on camera. And this movie's something special. Like, I think it's going to be one of the biggest opening weekends of all time, and definitely one of the biggest MCU openings. It is going to do great, and I definitely want to see it again. This is a very special movie. I think a lot of people are going to really like it. I think a lot of people are going to cry, and yeah, that is my spoiler-free review. Thank you for watching. I'm trying not to get in this like super sad emotional state again, so I'm going to try to just kind of talk about something completely different to just get my mind off of it. So I guess I'll just show you guys some merch I got at the theater. A little bit of a weird transition, I know, but it's just, you know, I don't want to get all sad and all that again, so let's talk about a cup. So we got a cup here. We got Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and Nakia. And then on the back, it just got a Wakanda Forever logo, reusable cup. This is a very strange transition, but it's the only way to get me to not cry. Then we've got a popcorn tin, Wakanda Forever. We've got Nakia, M'Baku, Okoye, and Shuri. It's really cool, except something I noticed when I left the theater is it's all dinged up. You see, like, right there? boom, got smacked or something. I don't know. So I might try to get it exchanged for one that's not broken. So yeah, I got the cup, the tin. I got Wakanda Forever posters. So we've got Namor, and then we've got the main characters of Wakanda Forever. Really cool poster, really colorful. And then with my combo, the Black Panther combo, I got this bracelet that came with it. It kind of looks like Kamoyo beads. And then there's a little Black Panther logo here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a little difficult. Oh, I think you might be able to see it. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, so it came with all that cool stuff. Like I said, I really like the movie. Can't wait to see it again. One of Marvel's best. It is something that you will remember for a long, long time. Because like I said, this is an experience. You're not just watching a movie, you know, just a comic book movie. Like, this is a true experience in the theater, so definitely go check it out. If you guys have seen it, leave your comments down below. Try to keep them spoiler-free. I will be posting a spoiler review of this movie, though, and then we can all talk spoilers there, but for now, keep it spoiler-free. That's the end of my review, guys. Thank you for watching. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe. Other than that, I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.